about it. The point was that the hunt itself honed the spirit of the hunter, and also was honing the spirit of the prey, and that when a hunter would kill the prey, that was also sacred, and that they would thank the prey for having given its life, and they would thank Mother Nature for having given of her child in order for sustenance. And then in order to honor that sacrifice, they would use every part of that animal for resources, down to the bone marrow, the bone, the skin, the tendons, everything. They would use everything. And that made me feel far more secure about the concept of eating meat, because it is natural for omnivores and carnivores. There's nothing innately evil about it. And where I was finding an oppositional concept was coming from the fact that we weren't being resourceful about it. Not that the meat that we were eating when I was growing up was totally resourceful, but it was to a degree. They went and got it butchered at a local butcher that used, as much of the stuff as possible. And when it was a cow, my grandpa would keep the head. There was a couple times that there was a cow, so I think he had a couple cow skulls. Specifically my cow, who I had asked. This is like a whole, I'm so off subject. But who cares? The way that it worked on my grandparents' farm was that every time that they got a new animal, aside from like the chickens or the rabbits, because they would normally get so many at once, but whenever they would get a new animal, the next child down in age would get to name that animal, feed that animal for the first time, and that would be their animal at the farm up until it was not there any longer. So like my oldest cousin got a pony. They had this pony, and the pony lived to like 14, 16 or something, I think, when she passed. Where my brothers got pigs, and we ended up eating them. That was the whole point of getting pigs, was that we got pigs so that we would eventually butcher them. So like it was this weird thing where, and my cousin that's just older than me got a cow, and I got a cow, but it was like one of those things where like, if you got a pony, then you were lucky. Your pony stayed around until it died, and it lived out a healthy, happy life its whole life and got to die at old age. But if you got a cow or a pig, the goat too was fine. We didn't eat the goat, but well, it also got hit by a car, but we weren't going to eat it. But if you got a cow or a pig, well, then I guess you're just kind of shit out of luck. You're one of the ones that gets to learn the circle of life, because the animal is there to be eaten, and eventually it's going to get butchered and eaten. So when I got my cow, I knew that was how it was going to end. And I asked that I just never had to eat her. I was like, I get that this is part of what we do. I understand it. I respect it, but I don't want to eat my pet cow. Like she's my friend. I don't want to eat her. I'll eat somebody else's cow that I wasn't personally attached to, but I'm personally attached to this animal. Please don't let me eat this animal. My family literally tricked me into eating her. I had told my grandma I didn't want to eat her, and even asked when we got together for a meal, and it was like barbecue beef or something, and I was like, I even asked beforehand if it was maple. She was like, nope. And then afterwards they laughed and were like, just kidding. It is. Ha! You had to eat her. And that traumatized me. It was fucked up. That was fucked up. And it did traumatize me. And it, all of these things I brought into my own person. Why was I even talking about this stuff in the first place? I'm talking about forgiveness. I'm talking about this random dude. Resourcefulness. That's probably why I'm so like I have that Stockholm syndrome type mentality, is because like the concept is to be resourceful, to use everything that you have, everything that you've been given for good, as much of it as you possibly can. That's why it's hard for me just to like let things go. I can let certain things go, but things that I'm attached to, it's hard for me to, because I want to see all of it go to good use. I want to be able to use all of that. If there's still something I can pull from that experience, I want to pull it. I want to pull it out of that experience, and I want to make something good of it. And that's why I've struggled with toxic relationships, because it's like, I know that they're toxic. I've been aware this whole time that it's toxic, and eventually I get out of it because I'm like, okay, there's nothing more to add here, but there's still a lot to be taken. So I still keep involving myself in these things. This is my life. I get to do that if I choose to. Can't say that I'm not saying this as if it's the healthiest thing to do. I don't think everybody processes things like I do. But I think that there are some people that do. I can't assume that I'm alone in the world. And I mean, I am, but like, I'm not the only one that's away. So like, anybody that finds good in something, then do it. Like, if it's good, but like, don't trick yourself into thinking that something is good just because you have fallen into a habit of something. And I suppose that's where it tends to get, at least for me, that's where it tends to continue to be toxic. But at the same time, like, that's the thing. So like, I find myself talking to this dude again because like, after everything that I've been through and all of these different processes, I'm aware that my relationship with him was toxic and that everything that he had to offer me was karmic. Like negative, and something that I had to learn through the negativity of. It wasn't like just an innate blessing, which is dharma. It's karma, which comes through mistakes, essentially, or actively doing something wrong. But at the same time, as I keep going through all of my different processes, I do keep coming back to forgiveness, and I keep coming to like, one, forgiving myself and forgiving anyone else. And like with him specifically, like, he just happens to be this specific figure in my head that like I've been able to hold things up against and been able to have clarity about. So like, as I went through all these experiences in my life this year, I've blocked him multiple times, and then unblocked him, and I blocked him again for the final time. I was like, I'm not unblocking this dude ever again. I don't ever want to talk to this dude again. And I was dead set on that. I was fine with that. I still had to get over randomly thinking about him. But that wasn't the hardest thing. I moved on. I engaged in other relationships. Like, I had gotten over, all of those things. But then having to process forgiveness for this past person I was just with, which is just a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes, I guess. And it's just a lot to work through. And it brought it all back to this dude who I'd been infatuated with, who I was like, now that I've learned what I've learned and gone through what I've gone through, and like, I've changed so much in different ways, now I'm looking at things differently. I can see things from a different perspective, and I can see that maybe I didn't give him, enough credit back then for these things, because who I am now, like, I wouldn't be who I am now or even been able to have handled the things that I went through this year the way that I did had it not been through the experiences that I had with him, which mainly were him playing me and ignoring me and treating me disrespectfully. But also holding me to a higher standard than that. Like, the same, like, I talked about the dude in Baltimore where like, yes, I'm an idiot. Most people should not have to go through those types of experiences, shouldn't have to go through a full-on fucking psyop in order to come to an awareness of self. I, however, did. But part of what the appreciation that I received from those experiences is the fact that that dude wasn't just abusing me. The abuse that he was enacting on me was coming through him having a very set like concept that I deserved better for myself. And that is, and like even what he told me, where he was like, you're the one allowing this, like you're the idiot. I'm not the bad guy for doing these things that I told you I'm going to do. You're the bad guy for allowing these things and acting like I'm the bad guy. And as long as you keep allowing these things, I'll fucking kill you. Like, this is not going to end well for you unless you figure out how to get out of this. But that's on you. And he wasn't wrong. He was being honest. He was going to keep fucking me up until he either snapped or I snapped and killed myself. And that would be the end of it. And it was either that or I found a way out, and I found a way to, come back to myself. And so it was like I had this weird appreciation for that, because like, sure, he underestimated me and assumed that I might actually not survive it. But the fact that he held me to that standard is what awakened me unto myself in order to find that I could. That was something the dude in Baltimore was trying to teach me. He taught me through the X-Men, which is like, you go through these specific traumas and that's what opens you up to your superpower. It's a valid concept. I know I'm out there. Because I will validate a lot of things. Like the Truman Show is full of valid concepts. The Matrix is full of valid concepts. So, I get it. But the more I'm able to expand on these things, the more that it makes people seem to at least think that, or respond as if it makes sense of these things. So yeah, I believe in resourcefulness. I believe in forgiveness, and I believe that that it's okay to go through things and go back through them and keep learning more and more from those situations. And that's a weird piece of rice. Sorry. And to make the most, to make the most of things. He was the first thing I thought about. Then I immediately found a weird correlation. I started thinking about the satanic priest. And I found this weird correlation where, well, it wasn't just a weird correlation. I mean, both of the dudes have similar personality types, and both of them have, like the dude I was infatuated with, is probably part of some secret society, to be honest. But even if he weren't, he still underhandedly would make, on his profile, he had like a 666 thing and a picture of a girl where you couldn't see her face, but she was tied up in, bond, whatever that's called, the bondage type thing. And then he had, on his profile, a picture of, a whole bunch of witches sitting around a campfire doing a seance, and then they're all floating naked. And then he sent me a picture for Halloween where he had dressed up like Satan, and he was standing in this whatever party he went to. The party theme was Anton LaVey's fucking satanic temple, apparently, because that's what it looked like. And there was a dude dressed as Anton LaVey, and he was standing on a pentagram dressed as the devil with Anton LaVey dressed up in his priest gear, shaking his hand. He's like, oh, look at me, I made a deal with the devil. I'm like, first off, in this picture, you are the devil, so... Men are so dumb to me. It's not that it's dumb. I think he knows exactly what he was saying. It's the levels of narcissism that they will go through just to feel a way. I've wished so many times in my life I wasn't heterosexual. And I wasn't even. I'm technically not. I'm queer as hell. But I got a vagina and I'm attracted to masculine types that have penises. So I don't know what my fucking problem is. Anyways, so then I started thinking about the correlation between the two. And I'm like, what is the correlation between the two? And I'm told that I need to forgive both of them essentially for the both thing. And it's for not protecting me against themselves, against the darkness, against myself, against things that they knew better than but didn't share with me. Because they were exploiting me and taking advantage of me on purpose. So I'm like processing it, finding a way to be willing to forgive those things. And then I think about my mom, obviously, just somebody that's constantly hurting me. And I'm thinking about my brother. I think about how I need to forgive myself, for the allowances that I've made, for holding these things against people, for the ways that I've acted embittered and aggressive towards those people because of my lack of forgiveness. But it's just hard. I sat down and decided that I wanted to make this video because I knew that I would be actively processing forgiveness at this time. So I figured I would make a video to show what it looks like for me to actively process things. It's weird. I'm thankful I'm able to communicate these things. I don't think most people even know how to actively process things or even be aware of their active processing, let alone to be able to communicate those things. So I would say that it's a blessing. And when I think about those things, I'm like, okay, I should probably share this with others because nothing is ever just for me. Forgiveness is hard. Especially when, a person isn't sorry or when they still intend to hurt you. At the same time, like, I guess even earlier this morning, I found myself thinking about the dude that I dated this year, which, like, I'm trying not to because I'm pissed off, to be honest. Obviously, I'm not in a point of forgiveness. So I was already thinking about this stuff earlier, which is probably why it came up now. I was thinking about, like, I need to forgive him so that I can move on, so that I'm not giving that situation power anymore. And so I'm not holding against him. But, like, I'm not able to fully process it yet because I still see him as this sweet, innocent, loving, affectionate person who I found is quite the opposite, is somebody very narcissistic, which, like, I can be too. It's about being self-accountable to those things. But, like, he'll hurt people without thinking twice about it because he just wants to make himself feel good. And then if he realizes that he hurt them and that hurts his feelings, now they're the bad guy and now he needs to be appeased because his feelings are hurt about hurting that person. That is convoluted narcissism. I mean, it's not, there's nothing healthy about that and there's nothing safe about that. And then, like, his involvement with his witch best friend, who isn't actually his best friend, they're like, the satanic priest thinks that he's my nemesis. I don't have a nemesis because I'm not fucking in competition with anybody. I'm not playing this game. He's tried to be my nemesis for the last 10 years. Dude's just been playing with himself this entire time and not doing a very good job of it, mind you. Okay, not my problem. But this dude, his best friend, that's has no problem openly talking about how he's a witch and worships Lucifer, is literally his nemesis. They're not friends. They don't share the same interests. For the most part, they have good times with each other, but also at the expense of one another. They're very hateful to one another. He also can't trust this person because this person will sleep with any girl that he's with or has been with, will lie about it, will, try to break things up behind his back or right in front of his face. Like, his best friend was disrespecting him right in front of my face and his face to me, or was like hitting on me right in front of him. And he was like, well, he's not actually trying to get with you. And I was like, okay, well, it's making me uncomfortable, whatever the fuck. And he's being actively jealous about our relationship right in front of you, and you're not doing anything about it. So it's like, like I said, that dude that that I'd been infatuated with that played me, like he kept his friends around so that they could judge me right in front of me. And that was me being stupid. But like, I did not let his friends talk shit about him. It didn't matter that I knew that he was talking shit about me. His friends talking shit about him, when his friend talked shit about him behind his back and was trying to take advantage of me, I told him that. I was like, I don't trust your fucking friend. I don't know why you're friends with that person, because you can't trust him either. Dude's a piece of shit. You shouldn't keep people like that close to you. Just my opinion. But like, there's so much having to do with this dude. So I was like thinking about him, the dude that I dated this year. So I was like thinking about him and just getting in my feelings, and then having to get out of my feelings. This is not what I want to be thinking about today. And just trying to process forgiveness for it. But it's like, it's hard when you don't even know what the fuck. It's easier almost when you can pinpoint certain things and be like, well, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. You don't have to be sorry for it. I know you're not sorry for it. And maybe it's not something that you intended, or it's something that I just need to work out in myself, but I'm still going to forgive you of it because I'm not going to carry these things anymore. You're welcome. It's much harder when you're still questioning it of yourself. Like, well, am I just projecting those feelings? Like, yeah, he was with these other people at the same time he was with me, even though he said that he wasn't with other people. And there's a lot of things that I know I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I do kind of know, but I can't say for sure because I don't actually know. And like, that type of manipulation and shit like that a sweet, affectionate, kind, caring person doesn't do that to someone. So it's very hard for me to process when like the experience I had of him was of somebody different than he proved himself to be. That's something I still have to process. It's actually, and that's why I tend to find appreciation for the dude that played me, because he made no qualms about the fact that he's incredibly arrogant. He argued with me about that and got offended when I said it. But that's his whole shtick, is like being this, always got sunglasses on, always dressed up to, like a certain way, and just always carrying himself a certain way and being like, yeah, everybody else is an idiot. Like you literally look like Andrew Tate. Like your entire persona is to be arrogant. That's what, take offense to it. You only take offense because you know what I mean by it, but that's another story. But it's easier, honestly, to process somebody who's blatantly arrogant than somebody who is that manipulative to make you think that they're a kind, nice person when they're actually even more arrogant than the person that's blatantly that way, because the person that's blatantly that way wears that arrogance as a mask to hide their insecurities. They're actually a very soft, tender person on the inside. They just can't let anybody know that because they're a very strong, capable person, and they have very deeply seated concepts of what masculinity is supposed to be, and have a hard time processing their femininity and receiving it as something that isn't weak, and largely in part because of the people that they've chosen to affiliate themselves with. And I mean, I don't like being in Wisconsin for very specific reasons. That being one of them. The misogyny there is insane. Like the racism there, it's so prevalent. It's all just so prevalent, and that shit isn't okay. It isn't cool. It isn't smart. It isn't any sign of somebody being better than anybody else. It's fucking dumb. It's really dumb. All of it. Being sexist, being prejudiced in any sort of way, all of it. Like, it's just a sign that you're not capable of thinking for yourself. Why would I want to engage with that shit, let alone involve myself in it and let it revolve around me? I don't want to be surrounded by fucking dipshits that can't think for themselves, that think that it's the same sort of thing, like the concept of punk rock. what is punk rock is to not have to have a mohawk and a studded belt and listen to the least, the or to listen to the most, I guess, alternative thing you can find, like the most obscure band. Now I'm punk rock. Like, that's literally what everybody's doing. You're just playing a game. Good job finding the least popular person. Like, oh, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. That's not punk rock. Punk rock is being able to be whoever the fuck you are whenever you're that person and just being free to be that person, period. Not giving a fuck. You have to sit here and portray yourself as something. If you're going to, yeah, that's the fashion of punk rock, then at least talk about, like, admit that you're just a little fucking diva. I say that because I'm sorry, I'm shit talking the Satanic Priest right now because he thinks that he's so much darker and more powerful and more punk rock than anyone. It's like, you're a wannabe Gigi Allen. It's already been done before. If you literally have to read from a book how to perform your magic, you're a dipshit. I'm not trying to be mean, but like, it's already been done before. That's not your magic. These people reading Aleister Crowley, like, that's going to make them so powerful satanically. Like, you guys are literally so dumb. You're so dumb. Please wake up. Please wake up. Jesus Christ. The amount of people on this planet that cater to these external materialistic concepts of what being themselves is. Like, you don't know yourself. Just be yourself. You should not have to cover yourself in tattoos to know who you are. Like, I'm not shitting on it. I think that they're beautiful. I think that body art is beautiful. I love it. But like, so many people that get that stuff get it because they're trying to express themselves. This is an expression of who I am. Like, marking yourself permanently is not an expression of who you are. You are pigeonholing yourself. You are tying yourself into a concept of who you want to be. It's an idea. The second that you get your lips injected and that you get your ass shot up and that you get your titties blown up and that you have to wear all this makeup in order to look away, you're not being yourself. You're not confident. You don't come across as confident. You come across like the opposite of confident. You come across like you are so insecure that you literally have to portray that you are somebody different than yourself in order to be comfortable. That isn't confidence. And like, people are so delusional these days that they literally don't, like, they're like, I could never be insecure. I can't let anybody know that I have insecurities. I can't let anybody know that I'm not 100% perfect all the time. Otherwise, what? You're being genuine? Like, God forbid. This whole planet is insane. Is insane. This shit is insane. I don't even like being in America. I really don't. I'm thankful to have been an American. I'm thankful for everything that I've experienced, the ways that I've experienced it, and to be part of this culture because I've been able to see what I've been able to see. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like being here. I don't really want to be here. I don't think that this is the greatest country in the world. I think that this is Babylon and that it's going to shit and that it's bringing every single thing it possibly can with it. And I think it deserves to go to shit. And I suppose bring anything that's willing to attach itself to it with it. Sorry, that video. I don't know how long this video is going to last. But this country, this world, this society is fucked up. It's so ass backwards. It's so fucked up. And it's got people so fucked up. And all of it is like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. When I talk about things being satanic or demonic in a negative way, I'm not talking about Satanism or Luciferianism or any type of occult or any type of witchcraft. Specifically, those things have their own titles and they have their own meanings. But like, when I'm from my heart saying that like this place is satanic, what I mean is that like Satan meaning the adversary meaning the opponent of self, of God in self. God is an aspect of each and every form of life. Every form of life, we are all connected. We're connected to the plants, we're connected to the animals, we're connected to each other. We're all connected through God. We all have God in us. We all have the mark of the Creator through us. We're all part of a creation. We are all creating ourselves. We are God. We have that full capacity within ourselves, but the general populace, completely asleep, just completely asleep, unaware of that, seeking external validations in order to try to make themselves feel like a concept of God. How diluted is that? You're like 3 points off of even being near the right point. And you're just running in that direction, right off that fucking cliff, having thousands and thousands of followers behind you, not knowing what the fuck they're doing or where they're going either. That's this society. That's what people hold as honorable in this society. Becoming famous so that millions of people that aren't thinking, aren't feeling, aren't themselves worship you. You're not even you. You don't even know who you are. These people don't know who they are. Why do you want the honor and glory? It's not even honor or glory. Why do you want the attention of all of these people that like don't even know how to